Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. It is, of course, Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. I am back in the OG location for the brand. This is, of course, the rewind for AEW Revolution 2021, which, of course, streamed live 2 nights ago on Bleacher Report Live, starting with the buy-in at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. A lot took place on Sunday night as we head into Wednesday night Dynamite tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And there was a lot to talk about, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I had a few days to sleep on it. I had a few days to digest everything, gather my thoughts, let it run through the motions in my head, and really attack it in a very professional manner and a very civil manner and an analytically correct manner, because I always try to be analytically correct rather than politically correct, because politically correct is just another terminology for not saying what needs to be said, because everyone's a fucking pussy nowadays. But then again, you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Everyone's fucking weak. I ain't weak. When you think of DJ Storms, you don't think of weak. Strongest one in this community. Anyway. I'm gonna be tooting my horn a lot. Trust me on that. You know, whenever you get a DJ Storms video, you know that you're gonna get DJ Storms tooting his horn and hyping himself up, because that's what I've been doing on this brand for the last 3.5 years. Anyway. As far as Revolution goes, a lot of people were excited for it. I was excited for it. And it was a solid show. Wasn't bad by any means necessary. We did get a lot of great matches, including a great World Tag Team title match, a great main event, an excellent cinematic street fight with Sting, Darby, and Team Taz. Very good ladder match. Very basic ladder match. A very standard, a very safe ladder match, but still very good ladder match. As a whole, more or less, all of the matches had the right outcomes, but if there's one thing that Revolution 2021 is going to be remembered for, it's the fact that AEW really tried their damnedest to hype this show up as being something special, and by the end of it, there were 2 major disappointments, 2 major letdowns. We had a few Dynamite-esque matches sprinkled in here and there throughout the show, but AEW really did themselves dirty, and they really were the architect of their own defeat in certain types of scenarios sprinkled throughout the show. They hyped up a Hall of Fame-worthy individual making his debut at AEW Revolution. Turned out to be Christian Cage. That did not work out in AEW's favor, and I'm going to explain why when we get to that. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that it's a bad signing. I'm not trying to tell you that it's not going to do Christian any good, and we're not going to get great storylines, and we're not going to get great matches. I'm going to elaborate on that when we get to Christian Cage's debut, but it would have been a lot better if they would have just let it be, and they would have just kept it a surprise. There was absolutely no reason to overhype the shit out of it. They really did not do themselves any favors as well with that ending. I'm not sure what that ending was. We're going to talk about that ending as well, and the poor manner that Tony Khan handled it in. And I love Tony Khan, trust me on that. Tony Khan, he is an excellent producer. He has done an excellent job at running AEW throughout the last 2 years. He has a very bright future as a wrestling promoter, but he did not handle himself very well at all. He did not handle himself in the best way possible that he could have handled himself when he was questioned about that. Trying to play it off as if it was supposed to happen. Come on. I'm going to talk about that a little later on, but my initial thoughts, I mean, come on. Just come out and say that you fucked up. Also, another thing I didn't understand about Revolution was the match placement. I don't really understand why certain matches were placed in the spots that they were placed in. That's another thing that really hurt the show. And on top of that, a couple matches didn't even need to be on the show. We could have gone into the show with 7 matches rather than 9. And then on top of that, they placed one of the main matches to kick off the show when one of those matches would have been much better suited in the middle of the card, because the middle of the card, when it comes to AEW pay-per-views, the middle of the card, the match that is smack dab in the middle of the card, that is absolutely the match that suffers the most. You take a look at some of the matches that we've seen throughout the course of the last number of AEW pay-per-views, and it's always that one middle match that suffers the most throughout the entire pay-per-view. And that one middle match is always the match that gets hampered down the most because of the matches that precede it and then the matches that follow it. That middle match on the pay-per-view is always going to be used as the bathroom break match. And AEW really did not do themselves any favors with that Adam Hangman Page Matt Hardy match. And it wasn't a bad match whatsoever. It was a solid match. But I'm not sure what they were going for in terms of match placement. They really underestimated themselves when it came to the match placement of the show. They need to do a better job with the match placement. They need to do a better job in terms of putting the correct matches on the show and not oversaturating the show, because that's one problem that they don't always have, but they have that problem here and there. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. When they don't do it, it works in their favor. When they do it, sometimes it ends up being a detriment to the show as a whole. And on Revolution, that was one of the many factors that brought the show down a few pegs. They oversaturated the show. That was number one. And number two, the match placement did not work out in their favor. But we are going to talk about all of that. Thank you very much for joining me here on this Tuesday evening. A rare Tuesday upload. A rare Tuesday upload. I don't think I've ever uploaded on a Tuesday evening. We have a lot to talk about here for AEW Revolution, and a lot of things that we could be looking forward to going into the spring of 2021 as we head into Double or Nothing, which is, of course, on May 30th, 2021. First things first, if you guys haven't already done so, please follow me on the Twitter sticks. Of course, my Twitter handle is @HistoryMakerDJS. You'll find out why I am the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. Follow me on Instagram as well. My Instagram is the DJ Storms. Add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all the links are in the description. Please go check them all out. If you guys missed the Lightning Flash update from last Saturday, the link is also in the description. We have a lot of interesting topics to talk about. We dissected the rest of the Women's World Title Eliminator Tournament. We went through all the weekly shows, including Raw, Dynamite, NXT, NXT UK, and SmackDown. Of course, we dissected a lot of interesting news and rumors, including NXT moving to Tuesdays. Vince apparently is furious that recent Wrestlemania plans got leaked. The plans for Wrestlemania were actually blown up with a month to go, and Cesaro is being saved in the back pocket of WWE Creative for Roman Reigns after WrestleMania 37, which I'm very happy about. I actually do hope that Cesaro is the one to defeat Roman at at SummerSlam of this year. Cesaro is absolutely the perfect candidate to go over Roman Reigns and win the Universal title, take that title into WrestleMania 38. Cesaro is long fucking overdue for a world championship title reign and a major program, and I really do hope WWE sees what they got in Cesaro. I do hope Daniel Bryan has some sort of creative influence backstage, and I really do hope that Bryan is able to somehow push Cesaro up the ladder just a little bit more, and hopefully WWE is going to follow through and give Cesaro the Universal Championship. A guy can dream. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm holding out just a little bit of hope. Just a little bit of hope. Just an ounce. Also, if you missed my appearance on PWP Nation YouTube channel with Mr. Jay Leto, I was on World of Wrestling. Yes, PWP Nation's Jay Leto had me on for an exclusive sit-down interview where we dissected a few reports, including WWE banning the thigh slap. Yes, WWE banned the thigh slap, which I will go more in-depth about this Saturday on the Lightning Flash update, of course, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday afternoon on the 13th. But me and Jay Leto, we dissected numerous reports, including WWE banning the thigh slap and WWE apparently adding another set of women's tag team titles to NXT. That is reportedly one of William Regal's announcements tomorrow night on NXT. Of course, if that is the case, I will be talking about that on the Lightning Flash update on Saturday, as per usual. If you missed that, please go check it out. The link is in the description. Go check it out. And speaking of Jay Leto will be making his return. He's making his return to the greatest fucking YouTube channel on the face of the planet. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, on March 19th, 2021, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 days before WWE Fastlane, me and Jay Leto will be joining forces yet again. I was on Jay Leto's channel last Friday. Now he's coming on my channel in less than 2 weeks, March 19th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Me and him, we're going to dissect everything going down on this unnecessary Fastlane pay-per-view. Should be a great time. This is his first appearance on my channel after 7 months, so please set your calendar dates. You are not going to want to miss that. On top of that, March 18th, the day before that, I will actually be appearing on Hibiki TMD's channel yet again. 2 months ago, I was on Hibiki TMD's channel for an episode of Hibiki High Spots where we dissected and analyzed Royal Rumble 1995. And my fucking God, I'm not sure how he survived throughout that time. Now we're dissecting WrestleMania 3. No Jacob and Eli Blue. So I don't need to deal with the fucking Blue Brothers. So I think that I got no problem praising some classic WrestleManias as long as there is no fucking Jake and Eli Blue. He's probably watching that. He's probably in the chat right now. As long as there's no Blue Brothers, I'm good. I'm good. No Blue Brothers, I'm good. So that's going to be on March 18th. Please look out for that. And I do have some news. I will be taking a vacation. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a vacation, a little birthday vacation. My birthday is, of course, on April 2nd. Your boy is turning 22. Afterwards, I will be going on a week vacation, so there will be no Lightning Flash update on April 3rd. That is a Saturday, but I will be back on April 10th. I will be back on April 10th here on the channel, as I will go live Saturday on April 10th, not for the Lightning Flash update, but I will go live for the rundown. Yes, the first ever rundown that is going to be live. I'm going to go live for the rundown for WrestleMania 37, and I'm going to dissect all the matches that are going down scattered across 2 nights. I don't know who my guest is going to be. I will let you guys in on that as we get closer to the date, but I'm just letting you know there's going to be no Lightning Flash update on April 3rd on that Saturday, but I will be back on April 10th for the rundown. Yes, the rundown, not the Lightning Flash update. No Lightning Flash update. The rundown for WrestleMania 37. That is going to take place April 10th, 1 p.m., not 1:30, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Same time as the Lightning Flash update. We are about almost 14 minutes into the video. I don't know what you're doing if you haven't already hit the like button. You see, there's a little like button, and it's right down there. It's right down there. Okay? So, if you guys haven't already done so, I need you guys to scroll down. I mean, I don't really know how many of you are watching Impact or AEW Dark. If you're watching me, I appreciate you sticking with me. But if you're here and you haven't hit the like button, we got a fucking problem here. So I need y'all to hit the like button. It's not that hard. It literally takes 0 effort. All you need to do is scroll down and click it right there. And then that's it. Simple as that, man. Come on, we got goals here we want to reach. The goal here is 30 likes as per usual. Would be nice if we could get to 50. We got the 30 likes on the last video that was pre-recorded and it premiered. Of course, I just broke the 4th wall right there, but I don't give a shit. Regardless, please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. And of course, please make sure you are sharing out the stream on all platforms of social media. Yes, please share out the stream on all platforms of social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, so that way we can get everyone flocking to YouTube to watch DJ Storms, because we want everyone to be in the chat. Everyone wants a piece of DJ Storms. Everyone, from your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your dogs, your cats, and especially your guinea pigs, because I read a little report, a little article from a veterinarian. I forget which veterinarian it was, but I believe a veterinarian. He or she wrote this specific article which stated those guinea pigs that watch DJ Storms happen to live longer. So if you have a guinea pig and you want this guiney pig to live a long, happy, healthy, fruitful life, you gotta get him or her in the chat so that way a guinea pig can get his or her daily dose of DJ Storms. So please share out the stream on all platforms of social media and get as many people in here as possible. 30 likes is the goal. Would be nice if we could get to 50, but 30 likes is a reasonable goal. It's a reasonable benchmark. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button. YouTube is purging subscribers again. My man TM161, he was actually a victim of that. He actually was on the route to 7,000 subscribers, and YouTube actually purged about 30 of them, which was really shitty on their part. YouTube purged about 10 subscribers of mine, so I don't know what's going on there. YouTube is run by a bunch of fucking assholes, so I hope that YouTube does not purge any more of our subscribers in the next couple weeks. Hopefully we can regain them. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. Same thing with TM. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. We need to gain some subscribers, and we need to keep them fucking consistent. So, if you guys have not already done so, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I got goals that I want to reach. I got goals I want to reach. I got a benchmark to maintain, okay? So I need y'all to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, because I'm trying to grow and expand the brand. And of course, when you hit the subscribe button, you got to make sure you hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way, you will know. Yes, you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. Of course, it's the only time you're going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combo. I did touch it up today. It's not too scraggly. Of course, this beautiful mustache right here. Just give me 1 second. I mean, it's not even a question if I have it or not. The magic comb, as Mr. Earl Cole calls it. I know Earl Cole's going to pop in the chat at some point. Because everybody wants a piece of the Storms, Meister. You already know. Anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion and the advertisements. We're going to get straight into the matches. We got 9 matches to dissect. The show started off with what was supposed to be a tag team match between Riho Thunder Rosa taking on Britt Baker and Rebel, not Reba. Baker came out with a mic and she said, "My partner Reba was brutally attacked by Nyla." Rebel then came out with a crutch. And Baker said, "I found the perfect replacement," and it was Maki Ito, who stole everyone's hearts in the AEW Women's World Title Eliminator Tournament. She did her typical song and dance. And listen, I may be in the minority here, but I really do not see anything in Maki Ito's character. She's not a bad wrestler. She's not a bad wrestler whatsoever. She can wrestle. She can wrestle just fine. I'm not going to shit on her as a wrestler whatsoever. If given the opportunity, I think that Maki Ito could put on a great fucking women's match. So, I got no issue with Maki Ito as a professional wrestler, but this kawaii, happy-go-lucky, smiley, bubbly gimmick, it don't do anything. It don't do anything. This is not the type of shit that I want to see when it comes to pro wrestling, and this is not the type of shit that anyone should want to see when it comes to pro wrestling. This is not a fucking soap opera. This is not a song and dance competition. This ain't a fucking talent show. It's pro wrestling. Certain types of characters like that have very small ceilings, and I want Maki Ito to succeed. I don't mind the smiley baby face, but if you have a smiley babyface character, you best have the in-ring skill that is going to supersede everyone else. Now, Maki Ito's not a bad wrestler, but her in-ring skill isn't of a Thunder Rosa. It's not of a Britt Baker. It's not of a Shida. It's not of a Riho. It's not of a fucking Layla Hirsch. It's not of a Nyla Rose. Those women are all above Maki Ito in terms of in-ring work. So, if Maki Ito is to go forth with a smiley, bubbly character like that, she's going to have to enhance her in-ring ability. She's not bad now, but all in all, this smiley, happy-go-lucky kawaii character, it's fucking cringe. Now, we didn't see that all throughout the match. We actually saw Maki Ito flipping off the crowd, flipping off Thunder Rosa as well. So, Maki Ito did her song and dance. We get the match. She was flipping off Thunder Rosa. If we see more of this, this is the Maki Ito that I can get behind. More of this. More bird flipping and less smiling. If we get more bird flipping and less smiling, I think that we got something in Maki Ito. So, more bird flipping, please. So, she flipped the bird. I laughed at that. I'm not lying. If you want to play this kawaii heel character and start flipping birds, that I don't mind. That I don't mind. So I actually laughed at that. Rosa and Riho, they isolated Maki Ito before Britt Baker took out Riho. We had Ito and Baker isolating Riho. Riho then took out Maki Ito with a crossbody for a 2. Rosa got the hot tag. She lit up Britt Baker. We had a beautiful meteor and a hesitation dropkick. Butterfly suplex and a running senton for a 2. Britt Baker then hit a nice sling blade on Thunder Rosa. And then we had the stalling headbutt, the stalling pencil headbutt by Maki Ito for a 2. Thunder Rosa then with a stone cold stunner. Riho then came in. And she got super kicked by Baker, but Baker then got taken out. Maki Ito then took advantage and then hit a swinging DDT. Rosa landed right on the top of her head. Ito then went for a diving headbutt, but she missed. Rosa then tagged in Riho. Riho went for the running knees that won her the Women's Championship all those many months ago. But then Ito then with a very nice reversal, a very swift reversal into a single leg Boston Crab. Riho was able to get to the ropes. We had some back and forth strikes traded between Ito and Riho. We then had Rosa saving Riho. Riho then tagged in Rosa. Baker came in. She hit a swift DDT on Thunder Rosa for a 2. Rebel then got involved. She wasn't really that hurt if she's getting involved. Baker was then sent into Rebel. This is where I thought that Thunder Rosa and Riho might have won the match. Thunder Rosa hit a Death Valley driver on Britt Baker, but Maki Ito saved the match. Riho then took out Maki Ito with a dive, and Rebel, behind the referee's back, hit Rosa in the head with her crutch. Rosa went down, Baker covered for the 1, 2, 3, and Britt Baker and Maki Ito win. This was a very good showcase. Wasn't really needed, but it was still a very good showcase for the women on the buy-in pre-show. Many people would actually say that this was actually better than the Women's Championship match. I would have to concur on that assessment. Very good women's match here on the buy-in pre-show in about 15 minutes. A very nice showcase. I'm glad these women got the time to showcase what they can do. And this was absolutely the right outcome. Absolutely the right outcome with Britt Baker pinning Thunder Rosa. And this plays in to the long-term story that I have been saying for a few weeks now, which is why Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa did not win the tournament. I can absolutely see Britt Baker winning the women's title from Shida, and they did tease Britt Baker and Shida one-on-one for the women's title. They did tease that match. They teased it later on in the night. And I do hope we are building towards that at Double or Nothing for Shida and Miss Britt Baker. And we could be looking at Britt Baker as the new Women's World Champion, as she should be. Britt Baker is the best person to beat Shida for that title. As far as Rosa goes, she is not signed to a full-time deal with AEW, but I do expect her to because she wants to work other projects. She's not going to get that when she works WWE, so I do expect Rosa to sign with AEW at some point between now and the fall, and things will come full circle. This is playing into the long-term storytelling with Britt Baker beating Shida, becoming the women's champion, and then we are to get Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa at Full Gear of 2021, where Rosa will win the women's championship from Britt Baker. But this was a very good showcase for the women. I'm glad that they got the proper amount of time, and we got the right outcome with Britt Baker pinning Thunder Rosa. Again, plays into the long-term storytelling with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Things will come full circle. Britt Baker is absolutely your next Women's World Champion. That was the buy-in pre-show. The main show started off with the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and MJF. This was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. This was a shock to me because I did not expect the Young Bucks to kick off the show. The last time that we saw the Young Bucks kick off a pay-per-view was, I believe, Full Gear 2019 when they faced Santana and Ortiz in the opening match. And that I understood, but when it came down to a pay-per-view like this, I would have actually rotated the matches between Adam Hangman Page and Matt Hardy, and then the Young Bucks and Jericho and MJF. I would have had Matt Hardy and Adam Hangman Page kick off the show. Then we would have gotten Miro's match on the buy-in. They had that tag team match between the women's match and the big money match. I would have absolutely had Miro kick off the buy-in, and they could have gotten that spot that the women got. But then again, Tony Khan wanted to get Miro on the main show, which I understand why you want to get someone like Miro, who you have big investment in, on the main show, but it was the worst storyline going into Revolution, so how many people honestly cared? If anything, I wouldn't have even done the tag team match. I would have done Orange Cassidy versus Miro. That would have been the buy-in match for me. That would have made the pay-per-view a lot better. You could have given those two 14 minutes on the buy-in, the 14 minutes that the women got on the buy-in, and it was a very good women's showcase, but it wasn't needed. So you could have had Miro versus Orange Cassidy on the buy-in, then you could have kicked off with Adam Hangman Page and Matt Hardy. That was a solid match, but that match would have been a better match to kick off the show than the Young Bucks versus Jericho and MJF because of the positions that they were placed in. So I don't really understand what the motive was there. But they had the Young Bucks versus Jericho and MJF kick off the show. This was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. This was an excellent tag team match. And there were a couple things that I actually liked about this match. Number one, it was paced perfectly. It only went about 18 minutes. It did not overstay its welcome, and it didn't need to overstay its welcome. It didn't need to go 30 minutes like what we got at Full Gear with the Young Bucks versus FTR. It didn't need to go a full 30 minutes. And on top of that, this match, it wasn't really based on work rate. The match with FTR and the Young Bucks, that had story behind it, but that was mainly a match built on the work rate. The work rate really made that match. The story, and all these moving parts with the Bucks having the Good Brothers. They're cool with the Good Brothers, then they're not cool with the Good Brothers, and then you got the Bucks' father being brought into this, and then you got the Inner Circle, the dissension of the Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara, and whether or not he was going to show up. Is he going to cost MJF? Is he going to cost Jericho? What's going to happen with MJF and Jericho? Are they going to win this match, and is that going to lead to Santana and Ortiz fighting them for the tag team titles? Are they going to lose this match? So there was a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of elements in this match that we needed to watch out for. And the story of this match made this match great. The story of this match made this match an excellent match. And this was a very nice, story-based tag team match. Didn't go too long. It didn't need to go too long. Didn't overstay its welcome. The story was there. And the match itself turned out to be very, very good. But I would have saved this for the middle of the show, because if you're looking for two guys that can really hype up a crowd after a plethora of great matches. If you're really looking for two guys that can really turn up the crowd during a spot in the show where it's usually dead, the Young Bucks is that team. I mean, MJF and Jericho, they're great in their own right. Everyone loves MJF and Jericho as well. This would have been the perfect match for smack dab in the middle of the show. That way, these two teams would have been able to wake up the crowd just a little bit. But they decided to have this match kick off the show. That's kind of really where the show started off almost on the wrong foot. I don't want to say on the wrong foot, but again, the match placement could have been a lot better. So the Young Bucks and Jericho and MJF, they kick off the show. This is for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Bucks went right after Jericho and MJF. The Bucks were in control early before MJF and Jericho took over. Jericho hit a triangle drop kick to Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson was at the mercy of Jericho and MJF before he made the tag to Matt. Matt with a DDT to MJF. Wardlow then pulled down the ropes as Matt was going off the ropes. Matt fell right to the floor. Matt Jackson was then isolated. He tried to fight back, and he hit a double Dolph Ziggler-esque DDT on Jericho and MJF. Nick Jackson, then he got the hot tag. We had some swift kicks and strikes, clothesline bulldog combination, swift spike facebuster to MJF, moonsault to Jericho, and a slingshot Canadian destroyer to MJF. That only got a 2 count. We then had MJF's head getting trapped between the buckle and Matt with a super kick right between MJF's legs. Sliced bread powerbomb combo, but MJF was able to kick out. The Bucks went for the Meltzer driver, but MJF held Nick Jackson's leg. Jericho reversed Matt Jackson and hit a tombstone pile driver. Nick went for the springboard anyway. Jericho caught him. Nick mistimed it, and Nick got caught in the walls of Jericho. Nick Jackson was able to get to his corner. He tagged in Matt. Jericho saw it, and Matt ended up getting locked in the walls of Jericho. Matt was able to fight out of it. MJF tagged in. MJF with a very nice powerbomb combination. Very nice powerbomb counter after Matt went for Hurricane Rana. MJF with a nice powerbomb. Matt was able to kick out. Nick came in with a springboard, but he got caught with a code breaker. MJF rolled up Matt for a really, really close near fall. Very, very close. Matt was able to kick out. Jericho, behind the referee's back, used Floyd the Bat, and he hit Matt Jackson right in the back with his bat. MJF capitalized on it and hit the Heat Seeker, but Matt still kicked out. MJF couldn't believe it. The Young Bucks with double crossbodies to Jericho and MJF. Jericho was able to kick out. Jericho went for the Judas effect, but he accidentally connected with Wardlow, who was up on the apron. The Young Bucks then hit the BTE trigger, but MJF saved the match. Then we had a super kick ping pong fest with MJF. Matt with a super kick, Nick with a super kick, ping pong, ping pong. He took about 8 super kicks, and then he took a double super kick. So that was it for MJF. You ain't getting up after 8 fucking super kicks from the Young Bucks. Then we had Jericho on the receiving end of a Meltzer driver, and the Young Bucks retain in an excellent tag team match, an excellent opening match to kick off AEW Revolution 2021. Everything lined up perfectly. The only thing I didn't understand was the fact that we did not see Sammy Guevara. I was actually quite shocked that we didn't see Sammy Guevara. I had it in my mind that Sammy was going to interject himself into this match, and we were going to see Sammy cost MJF, since they were building that match for months now, or he was going to cost Jericho and do a complete 180. He was going to do a complete 180 swerve and cost Chris Jericho and align himself with MJF. That's where I had my mind at. I thought that we were going to see Sammy Guevara in some way, shape, or form. We did not. And I was shocked that we didn't, but it looks like Tony Khan may have bigger plans rather than Sammy Guevara, because we had a little interview segment with the Inner Circle and Alex Marvez, and we're going to talk about that a little later on, where Jericho announced that there's going to be an Inner Circle War Council. But the fact that the announcement was made, that wasn't the big glaring issue. The big glaring issue was the words that MJF said after Jericho made that announcement. So We're going to talk about that a little later on, but excellent match, perfectly timed, the right outcome, the right man was pinned, and I like how MJF has been protected. You can definitely tell how much investment that they have in MJF and how much trust that they have in MJF. They really want to make MJF look strong, and they really want to protect MJF. MJF has only taken one legitimate pinfall loss in his entire AEW career. 2 years, and MJF's only taken one loss in his entire AEW career, and that was against Jon Moxley all the way back at All Out. Jericho was pinned here. MJF was not. And that's the story that they're going to be telling going into tomorrow's AEW Dynamite event. But an excellent tag team match, right outcome, and the right man was pinned. We then went to the Casino Tag Team Royale, and this was a very, very fun match. Probably the most fun Battle Royal that we've had in AEW to date. But if I'm going to be quite honest here, this match was not needed. I really don't understand why this match was made. It was really made just to get everyone on the show, which really wasn't needed. If I am picking two matches that did not need to happen on the show, it would be the Casino Tag Team Royale and it would be the women's match on the buy-in. Both of those matches did not need to happen. I would have put Miro and Cassidy on the buy-in. Then I would have done Matt Hardy and Adam Hangman Page to kick off the show. Then the Women's World Championship match. Then the Young Bucks match. Then the ladder match. Then the street fight. Then the World Championship title match. But we got this Casino Tag Team Royale. The winners were to receive a shot at the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Natural Nightmare started off with the Dark Orders number 5 and 10. Next team was Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful. 5 was then eliminated after a diamond cutter from Q Team Marshall. Next team was Mike and Matt Sydal. Next team was Grayson and Uno of the Dark Order. Mike Sydal was taken out. Next team was the Gun Club. Matt Sydal was then eliminated shortly after, so the Sydal brothers were the first team gone. Avalon and Bononi then came out next, which I believe they are calling themselves the Pretty Picture. Afterwards, we had the Varsity Blondes. Avalon got taken out after a Famouser. QT then eliminated the Gun Club, and he actually got into a little confrontation with his own partner, Dustin. Dustin was like, what the hell are you doing? They're a part of the Nightmare family. QT was like, I'm trying to win a match here, trying to get a shot at the World Tag Team titles. QT actually did not see eye to eye with Dustin here, so much so that he eliminated himself out of frustration. So we got a little undercard storyline there brewing between QT and Dustin. We then had Bear Country coming out next. They eliminated Grayson. They were followed up by Jurassic Express. Ortiz then got eliminated by Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus then eliminated Cesar Bononi and Griff Garrison. Santana was eliminated by Jungle Boy, and Uno was tossed out as well. Next team was the Butcher and the Blade. Brian Pillman Jr. got eliminated by the Butcher in quick fashion. The Bunny helped eliminate Dustin Rhodes. Private Party came out next, followed up by SCU. Bear Country eliminated Luchasaurus. The Butcher, he looked strong here. He eliminated both members of Bear Country. Next team, and this was a very, very, very surprising team to me that ended up winning the match, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Next team was Death Triangle, Pac and Phoenix. They had Pac and Phoenix as the tag team representing Death Triangle in this match. Quinn and the Blade were eliminated, and then the final team was John Silver and Alex Reynolds, the Meat Man, as they are calling John Silver, Johnny Hungy. So, Phoenix eliminated Daniels. He eliminated Daniels after SCU took out the Butcher and not Orange Cassidy, Isaiah Cassidy. So, Phoenix eliminated Daniels. Reynolds was then eliminated by Jungle Boy, and then Frankie Kazarian was eliminated by Pac, which surprised me. Ray Phoenix then, with a huge punt kick to John Silver. John Silver had a very nice showing in this match. Very, very happy that John Silver is getting his due. John Silver was eliminated after a big punt kick, a tightrope punt kick by Ray Phoenix. And then Jungle Boy eliminated Pac. It came down to Jungle Boy and Ray Phoenix, which, take my fucking money, I would love to fucking see that match. Everyone would love to see that fucking match. So we had a very nice back and forth sequence with Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix. We had Rey Fenix with a tope through the ropes. The guy's a fucking madman. Like a fucking torpedo through the ropes onto Jungle Boy, and he actually sent himself over the barricade into the crowd at ringside, which looked fucking insane. Rey Fenix, again, he's really gonna get fucking hurt on one of these dives. So, please, Rey Fenix, just chill. I understand that you like doing this, but please, please. So, after that, Phoenix quickly recovered, springboard into the ring. Jungle Boy caught him with a huge fucking super kick right on the money, and then he hit Phoenix with a reverse Rana, spiking him right on his head. He went for the elimination. Phoenix, though, with a rebound spin kick off the ropes right on the jaw of Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy is eliminated. The Death Triangle, Phoenix and Pac, win the match, and they are next in line for an AEW World Tag Team title match against the Young Bucks in a very fun Battle Royal. Now, the outcome surprised me. The outcome surprised me, and I'm going to tell you why. I had it in my mind that it was either going to be one of two teams. It was either going to be SCU or Jurassic Express. Now, I said SCU specifically because, if you remember, on Dark, Frankie Kazarian said the next time that they lose a match, they are done as a tag team. So, I figured that because of that, and because of the fact that they've been winning and winning and winning all year, and they did have a confrontation with the Young Bucks back at New Year's Smash. They said that we want to face the best for the AEW World Tag Team titles. I had it in my mind that they were going to have SCU win this, and then SCU was going to go on to face the Young Bucks. They were going to lose, and then Frankie Kazarian was going to end up turning heel on Christopher Daniels because they have so many tag teams in the division. They have so many fucking tag teams in the division that they can afford to break one up. They got at least 20 plus, 25 tag teams in the division. So if SCU breaks up, it's really not going to hurt them. I would have gone with SCU, considering that would have told a better story, and that would have told the story of SCU continuing their winning streak, getting a shot at the Young Bucks, ultimately to lose, and then Frankie Kazarian turns heel on Christopher Daniels. They didn't go that route, so it looks like SCU could be saved in the wings for a tag team title match at a later date. That could happen. That could happen. Now, the other team I had winning this was Jurassic Express, and I'm surprised that Jungle Boy didn't win this. I ruled them out. Because they're still technically in a feud with FTR, but then Jungle Boy came down to the final two, and then I was extremely surprised that he didn't win this. But I am not going to complain about Death Triangle versus the Young Bucks. I mean, that's a fucking tag team classic waiting to happen. Pac and Rey Fenix versus Matt and Nick Jackson, take my money on that one. Now, they're not going to win. Death Triangle's not going to win, but holy shit, is it going to be a tag team classic. So I was a little shocked that SCU and Jurassic Express were both eliminated. I thought that one of those two teams were winning, but Death Triangle wins. A shock win, a very unpredictable win by Death Triangle. Death Triangle wins a very fun casino tag team Royale. Did it need to be on the show? No, it didn't, but this is Tony Khan. But Death Triangle get the win. Death Triangle versus the Young Bucks should be a tag team classic for sure. We had Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami. This was for the AEW Women's World Championship. Now, a lot of people wondering why Mizunami won this. They wanted to extend Shida's title reign, more likely than not to a year, and then more likely than not they are going to give the win to Britt Baker at Double or Nothing, which I hope is the case. Now, I understand people's concerns with this match. Now, if I was going to formulate an opinion on this, I would say it was better than Nyla Rose versus Shida. I'm not saying that these two women didn't work hard, but I don't know what happened. Something just felt off. In this match. I'm not really sure what it was, but it almost turned into a mini finisher fest. It seemed like each and every single one of these women were having near fall after near fall after near fall when it should have been over. It feels like it should have ended 3 minutes before it actually ended. I don't know what these women were going for, but It almost reminded me of Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 34, and you do not want to remind people of that match at all. You don't. Both women worked hard, but Mizunami, yeah, again, like I said, she is not someone that you want to invest in. She is not someone that should be winning championships. She is not someone that should be fighting on a major stage. If anything, this match just proved that it should have been Baker and Shida, and Baker should have won the title. Shida's gone as far as she can go. I love Shida, but she's gone as far as she can go as the women's champion. I am hoping that this next program with Britt Baker is it. I am hoping that this next program with Britt Baker is the final nail in the coffin, and we do get Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship, and I hope that that is the end of it. So, Mizunami, she sent Shida into the crowd. She took over with some rapid-fire leg drops. Shida then regained control. We had a missile dropkick for a 2. Shida then with the crunchy on the outside on the stage. Mizunami then with the stiff strikes, a big lariat to Shida, and a Northern Lights bomb for a 2. We had some back-and-forth strikes. We had a lariat by Riho. Shida got up right after the lariat. She no-sold it and then hit the Tamashi. Both women were down, trying to make it a little bit more dramatic, but I don't really think anyone was really invested in Ryu Mizunami. We had some back-and-forth strikes again. We had a Uranagi to Shida. A big spear and a diving leg drop connects, but Shida was able to kick out. Shida fought back at the Falcon Arrow. A knee to the back of the head. Another Falcon Arrow for a 2. We had a small package by Ryu Mizunami. Shida barely kicked out. We then had another Tamashi. Ryo kicked out again. Again, like I said, just a mini finisher fest. Finisher, 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 finisher. Kick out, kick out, kick out, kick out. Shida then hit a tornado kick for the win. Match wasn't necessarily a bad match. Ryo and Shida worked hard, but again, like I said, Ryo, not someone that you're going to invest in as a women's champion. Number 2, I don't know what happened. Something felt off, and it turned into a mini finisher fest. Shida definitely deserves better. Hopefully, we see Britt Baker versus Shida in the future, and we do see Britt Baker take that title off of Hikaru Shida, because it is now time for Britt Baker to get her due. Nyla Rose then attacked. Shocked that Nyla Rose even came out since she lost to Ryo Mizunami. Baker and Ito came out as well, and we had Ryo and Shida on the defense before Thunder Rosa came out to save Shida and Ryo, and it was made for this Wednesday on Dynamite. Tomorrow it is going to be a 6-woman tag. Baker, Ito, and it was originally Rebel, but she was replaced by Nyla. So it's Nyla, Ito, and Baker taking on Rosa, Mizunami, and Shida, and I believe that that should be the start. That is going to be the start to the program between Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida, and that is going to be when Britt Baker eventually takes the title. By the looks of it, it seems like they're building up Britt Baker to take the title off of Shida before Double or Nothing. Now, I definitely would not mind that, and I think that AEW, if they do that, they're trying to correct their mistake that they made, considering Britt Baker is absolutely the correct woman to beat Shida. Now, I don't know what else we could be looking at, but it is absolutely the right decision to have Britt Baker take that title off of Shida. If it's anybody else but Britt Baker, they would have done something wrong. Absolutely, they would have done something wrong. So we get a 6-woman tag this Wednesday, tomorrow, on AEW Dynamite. Match wasn't bad, but again, it turned into a mini finisher fest. Something just felt off, and Ryo Mizunami, not someone that you're going to invest in as a women's champion here in AEW. It should have been Britt Baker from the start that faced Shida at Revolution. We then had Miro and Kip Sabian. They took on Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. Miro and Kip Sabian actually attacked Taylor and Cassidy before the match even began. So they were in the back, they were attacking them, and Miro then looked into the camera and said, "Hit my music." So they came out, Miro said a few words. He says, "Say the words and I can make it stop." Taylor came out to the ring anyway. Miro held his face and held the mic up to him. He said, just say the words and I can make it stop. And Chuck Taylor said, ring the damn bell, so we ended up getting the match. And this match went the perfect amount of time and only went about 8 minutes. Exactly the right amount of time it should have gotten. Realistically speaking, I would have put it on the buy-in to give it a little bit more time. We didn't really need the whole attack angle. To be quite honest, like I said, I would have gone with Miro and Orange Cassidy. And if you would have gone with Miro and Orange Cassidy, that would have made the show just a little bit better. But they ended up going with this tag team match. We could still be building towards Miro and Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy wasn't the one beaten here. I am very, very interested in seeing Miro and Orange Cassidy. But we get this match. It went about 8 minutes. Perfect amount of time. Did not overstay its welcome. 8 minutes. A decent little sprint in and out. In no way, shape, or form was this pay-per-view worthy, though. In no way, shape, or form was this pay-per-view worthy. This should have been on the buy-in. We should have gotten Miro and Orange Cassidy. No need for this match to be on the main show. I love Miro, but in no way, shape, or form should this match have been on the main show. It was not pay-per-view worthy whatsoever. So, Cassidy eventually made his way to the ring, and Orange Cassidy with an orange punch to Miro. Miro was taken out temporarily. Chuck Taylor then hit... He tagged in Orange Cassidy. I don't know why I said hit. He tagged in Orange Cassidy. Cassidy with a big suicide dive to Kip Sabian, and then a diving DDT for a 2. Sabian regained control, hit a cross-legged Falcon Arrow for a 2. Cassidy then with the satellite DDT, he hit a beach break, and then Chuck Taylor followed it up with the Awful Waffle, but Miro was able to come in and save the match. Miro and Orange Cassidy then faced off. We then had Orange Cassidy doing the patented shin kicks. Then we had the Stun Dog Millionaire to Miro. Ford was then on the apron. Penelope got involved, and Miro then shoved Cassidy into Penelope Ford. No regard for Penelope's safety whatsoever. So, we then had the roundhouse kick, a spinning side slam. Kip Sabian then tagged in. Miro then with the big thrust kick, and then he locked in the game over. Miro taps out Chuck Taylor, and Miro wins it. A decent little sprint, but it was not pay-per-view worthy. Should not have been on the show. It should have been on the buy-in, and it should have been Miro versus Orange Cassidy in a one-on-one match. But we did get the right outcome. Miro wins this by making Chuck Taylor submit. And Miro actually sent Orange Cassidy into Penelope Ford, and Kip Sabian went to check on Penelope Ford. Miro made Kip Sabian tag himself in, so that way Miro could win the match. Notice how Miro won the match. Miro had little to no regard for Penelope Ford's safety, so it looks like this could be the end. It looks like this could be the end of Kip Sabian and Miro as the best man gimmick for Miro and Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, and I don't think anyone's complaining there, because they have not done anything with Kip Sabian and Miro. They have not shown any signs of pushing them in the tag team division. It has just been a lot of comedy bullshit with Chuck Taylor, Trent, and Orange Cassidy. It's just been a lot of brouhahas with weddings and cakes and destroying game consoles and all this other bullshit. So I don't think anyone's going to be complaining there. It looks like we are looking at the beginning of the end of Kip Sabian and Miro. I am certainly not complaining. I don't think you're going to be complaining. Looks like Miro is going to be leaving Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford good, and Miro could be fighting for the TNT Championship possibly by the end of 2021. I'm not going to be complaining there. I don't think you're going to be complaining there. That was pretty much that. Decent little sprint, like I said, but it wasn't pay-per-view worthy, and we can cross our fingers. It looks like Miro is getting away from Kip and Penelope Ford, and we can all hang our hat on the fact that now Miro is going to be a singles guy. Before we got the next match, we got Jericho, MJF, and the rest of the Inner Circle being interviewed by Alex Marvez. Jericho was in the back. He said, "This Wednesday we host the Inner Circle War Council. It is time to make some changes." MJF then butted in and he said, "You know what, Chris? I've been thinking about this a long time, and it is time for a change." So they shook hands, and Jericho looked at Alex Marvez. He goes, "I haven't fielded anything in my life, idiot." But again, what MJF said, "I've been thinking about this for a long time. It is time for a change." Do you remember a couple weeks back when MJF, he made Wardlow push the cameraman out? Sammy and Jericho were out of the room, and MJF was having a private conversation with Wardlow, Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. A private conversation. You remember that? Sammy Guevara, he then had a confrontation with MJF saying that you want to take over the Inner Circle. That could very well come to fruition tomorrow. We could potentially be seeing MJF kick Jericho out of the Inner Circle, and MJF is going to be the new leader. This Inner Circle storyline, undoubtedly the best storyline in AEW right now. This just got a hell of a lot more interesting. You remember that segment, that little backstage confrontation, MJF having a private conversation without Jericho, without Sammy. Now it looks like Jericho could very well be Gonzo. This could be the gateway for Jericho to possibly go off and tour with Fozzy, considering that the COVID cases are going down. The masks, the mandated masks, they're being lifted in certain states, thank Christ. Hopefully Jersey's next. But then again, I don't see that because, you know, we got fucking Governor Murphy, and you know how the fucking Democrats are pieces of shit. I fucking hate them all, but then again, not to get too political here on the channel. But Jericho could be set to go and do his tour with Fozzy. And this could be MJF's big break, and he's going to take over the Inner Circle. Very, very interesting material here with MJF and Chris Jericho. MJF highlighting that it's time for a change. What is to come tomorrow? I think we do see a new leader of the Inner Circle, and MJF is the guy. MJF is the guy to kick out Jericho. MJF got inside the mind of Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. And MJF is going to be running the Inner Circle by himself. By himself. And MJF is looking to get back to that AEW World Championship. Things are going to be very, very interesting. Do we see Sammy in the coming weeks? We'll have to wait and see. But very, very intriguing segment. It did not go too long. It only went about 90 seconds. Less is more. Building intrigue for tomorrow's AEW Dynamite. We then had Adam Hangman Page versus Big Money Matt. This was the big money match. The winner would receive the loser's earnings for the first quarter of 2021. This wasn't a bad match. This was solid. Went about 15 minutes, but if we're going to be quite honest here, this was a backup plan. This was a plan B, and it really did come off like a plan B. We already know that the Dark Order storyline, that was going to be leading towards a match with Brody Lee, and if that would have happened, that would have been a classic. That would have been an absolute fucking classic, Hangman and Brody. But that did not come to fruition. We already know why. The unfortunate circumstances of Brody Lee's lung condition unfortunately led to his passing. I don't really know why the Dark Order storyline continued, but Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order, that storyline was leading to a match with Brody, and to be quite honest, a match with Brody would have made the show a lot better. That obviously did not happen, and the reason why we were going to get Hangman and Brody is because Hangman, they're saving Hangman in their back pocket for Kenny. Hangman Adam Page is absolutely the next world champion. Just like things came full circle with Moxley and Omega, things are going to come full circle with Page and Omega. And we are looking at Page versus Omega at All Out in September, hopefully with fans back in attendance and they're touring again. And that is going to be the big crowning achievement for Adam Hangman Page, and Adam Hangman Page will be the next AEW World Heavyweight Champion. But in the meantime, you got to build him up. You can't just save Page, keep him off of television, and then insert him into a world title match. You're going to have to build him up. And they were going to use Brody to build him up, which I had no problem with, but unfortunately, Brodie Lee passed away. So they were scrambling. They scrambled to find the plan B, and they put Matt Hardy in there as a plan B because Matt Hardy didn't really have anything going on. Page didn't have anything going on. So, boom. They put him in the storyline, and there really wasn't any reason for us to care about Matt Hardy and Adam Hangman Page, so they kind of just pulled this big money stipulation out of their back pocket just as a last-ditch effort to make people care. And ultimately, this stipulation wasn't really that big of a stipulation to make people care, especially in this time slot. If anything, like I said, this match should have kicked off the show. We should have gotten Matt Hardy and Page kicking off the show, going 15 minutes, and then the Young Bucks should have gotten this spot. Because again, this was the death spot. This was the absolute death spot for Matt Hardy and Adam Hangman Page, and the majority of the crowd, they were just out of it. They just didn't really care. It was a solid match. Both men did a very good job. It was very straightforward, very upfront. There was no botches. There was no scary scenarios. There was no fuck-ups like we had it all out with Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. It was straight up two guys going in there and wrestling. And it was fine. It was fine for what it was. But the time slot absolutely hurt this match. And on top of that, the fact that it was a plan B. Tony Khan should have known, if you have something like this, a plan B, a backup plan, you should put this match on earlier on in the show. That way, they would have a better opportunity at getting the crowd invested in them, because ultimately, the matches later on in the show, they're really going to make or break the show. The matches later on in the show, those should be the matches that have the most story in it. You should start off with the matches that don't have too much story in it. This didn't have that much story in it, and not a lot of people cared about this match. No one cared about the stipulation. No one cared about whether Adam Hangman Page or Matt Hardy was going to get the winner's earnings. No one really cared. It was a backup plan. It came off like a backup plan, and ultimately, this is merely an interim program. What Page does between now and All Out, it's all going to be interim. It's all going to be interim because they're building up Page to face Omega and beat Omega for the World Championship. Page and Omega is your all-out main event for the World Championship. So in the meantime, you need to build up Page. Everything that you do with Adam Hangman Page from here on out is interim. Matt Hardy and Brodie, whether or not you would have gone with Matt Hardy or Brodie if Brodie was still alive, both of them were interim programs. Obviously, Brodie would have been the better program. Brodie would have been the better match, but you had to throw in Matt Hardy in there. If that was the case, you should have known that this was not going to favor well in this time slot, especially what happened with Shida and Nyla back at Full Gear, especially what happened with a match with, Shawn Spears and Dustin Rhodes, or Chris Statlander and Penelope Ford all the way back at Double or Nothing in 2020. You should have realized that things weren't going to work out for Shida and Thunder Rosa back at All Out because they were placed in the death spot. You can't place matches that don't have any storyline build in the death slot. You can't do that. Can't do that. This match should have kicked off the show. It would have benefited everyone a lot better. It would have benefited Hangman. It would have benefited Hardy. It would have benefited Revolution as a whole. And it would have benefited the match. Match was solid, but it could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot better than what it was. Hardy slammed Page's right arm onto the post, and then he trapped his hand in between the steps and kicked the steps into his hand. Hardy then continued to attack the arm. Page then with a Death Valley driver for a 2. Page then was caught with a twist of fate on the floor. Hardy was going for the count-out win. Page was able to break the count. Hardy then with a German suplex off the middle rope to Adam Hangman Page. Page and Hardy traded strikes back and forth. We had a clothesline over the top. Page then with a big moonsault, Orihara moonsault to the floor, and a big crossbody in the ring for a 2. Page slammed to the mat. Hardy then with a crucifix bomb. Very nice crucifix bomb by Hardy for a 2. Page then with the Deadeye, but Cassidy and Quinn came out to intervene. Hardy then recovered, caught Page with a side effect when he went for the buckshot. This was actually a very nice counter. Very nice counter here. Buckshot Lariat countered with the side effect and another twist of fate, but Page was able to kick out. The Dark Order then came out to even the odds. Hardy then knocked Page off of the apron, but the Dark Order then caught Page, put him back on the apron. Page with the Buckshot Lariat, and Adam Hangman Page wins the big money match. Dark Order and Adam Hangman Page then celebrated. Solid match, but it was placed in the wrong spot. Should have kicked off the show. It was a plan B, like I said. Came off like a plan B. I don't understand why they didn't have this kick off the show. This could have been a lot better than it was, but we got the right outcome. Adam Hangman Page continues his winning streak. He is undefeated in 2021. Rightfully so. He should continue his reign going into the summer. He should remain undefeated, and he is going to go forth, and he's going to beat Kenny Omega at All Out. I don't know what he does afterwards. This Dark Order storyline is apparently continuing. I'm not sure if this is going to result in the Dark Order turning on Adam Hangman Page or not. I really don't. But either way, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So, we got Cody Rhodes versus Scorpio Sky versus Lance Archer versus Penta El Zero Miedo versus Max Caster versus a mystery opponent. This was the face of the Revolution ladder match where the winner would get a shot at the TNT Championship. So Max Caster with another fantastic rap. He said he's going to cancel y'all like Dr. Seuss, and he's got blood on his hands like I'm Governor Cuomo, which was fucking fantastic. Max Caster is a fucking legend. He really is. I fucking love Max Caster. So everyone made their entrance. The sixth man turned out to be all ego. Ethan Page. He looks fantastic. Ethan Page. I love Ethan Page. He's excellent at what he does. And I'm very, 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 very disappointed that they didn't get the North. I'm kind of disappointed that the North are no longer together. But Ethan Page is going to be a nice asset to AEW for sure. So Archer introduced the first ladder. Caster ended up using the boombox. Penta off the top of the ladder with a tope off the ladder, taking out Cody and Ethan Page. Archer then got the ladder slammed into him by Ethan Page. Page then with a razor's edge to, I believe it was Caster. Page with a razor's edge to Max Caster while Archer was trapped. Page with a razor's edge while Archer was trapped in between the ladder, which looked absolutely fucking brutal. Then we had a big ladder setup. We had a big ladder setup between the ring and the barricade. And Penta, and props to Penta and Cody for doing this. Penta then with a destroyer to Cody on the ladder. The ladder did not break. Ladder did not fucking budge. So Cody was then taken to the back. And he was in the tunnel, actually. Cody was in the tunnel, and he was being worked on by the medical assistants. Now, this was the big dramatic effect for someone leaving to come back. We've seen this countless times in wrestling. So, we had Sky, Caster, Archer, and Page all on the top of two ladders. They started going back and forth. Penta then stopped Scorpio Sky. Caster then with a sunset flip powerbomb to Page off the ladder. Caster then was dropped on the ladder. He was then dropped on the ladder by Lance Archer, I believe it was. Sky then with a beautiful frog splash on Caster while Caster was draped on the ladder. Archer then with a step-up knee to Sky. And Sky was on the turnbuckle that was on the far side of the camera. And Archer with a step-up knee. Sky went crashing down through another ladder. This ladder actually fucking broke. So I actually thought that Sky was out of commission. I thought that was the last that we would have seen of Sky, but he ended up coming back. He ended up winning the match. So Cody ended up coming back after Sky was out of commission for a little bit. He whipped the competitors with his weight belt. We had a crossroads to Page. Cody went up the ladder. Archer with a superplex off the ladder to Cody. Caster then with the acclaim to fame to follow right to the back of Mr. Cody Rhodes. Archer then with choke slams to everyone. A choke slam to Page, a choke slam to Penta, a choke slam to Cody, and then he hit the blackout on Mr. Max Caster on the ladder. Ethan Page then came in with a low blow to Archer, and he got him up in the Razor's Edge. That was impressive by Mr. Ethan Page. Jake Roberts then got involved. He took out Page with a lariat, and then he got fucking super kicked by Penta. So Jake Roberts, he's still doing this shit. Unreal. Penta then used a chair, and he hit Cody right in the shoulder as Cody went to win the match. Sky then turned his attention to Penta. He hit Penta with the chair. Sky and Cody were the last on the top of the ladder. Sky then shoved Cody down, and Sky grabbed the brass ring, and Sky won the match. This was a very hard-hitting, very physical matchup. Everyone busted their ass in this match, but I don't know. I feel as though this match was very standard, a very safe ladder match. It was still a good match, but I feel as though, considering we've seen so many ladder matches, it's really getting hard to one-up the last ladder match that we've seen. Like, we saw a great ladder match with Sammy, Styles, and Hardy, but even that match wasn't over the top. It was an excellent match. Don't get me wrong, it was an excellent match, but it really wasn't anything over the top. It really wasn't anything that we're going to go back and rewatch. Sammy's fantastic in it, but at the same point in time, it really wasn't an, oh my god, we have to go out of our way to watch this match. The only spot that was really an oh my god spot was the Swanton Bomb off the ladder by Hardy to Sami Zayn through another ladder. The last ladder match that I can remember that was really an, oh my god, you have to go out of your way to watch this match, was the 6-man North American Championship ladder match. All the way back at TakeOver New Orleans in 2018. That was the last ladder match that was, oh my fucking god, this is one of the greatest ladder matches I think I've ever seen. Same thing with the Bucks versus the Lucha Bros in the Escalera de la Muerte. That was a great match, but that wasn't really over the top. That wasn't on the level. That wasn't on the level of the North American Championship ladder match, if we're going to be quite honest. That wasn't original. It's really getting hard to one-up these ladder matches. So, this match, it was very safe, so to speak. It was very safe. Good match. Hard-hitting. Fucking physical. But it really wasn't, oh my god, you need to go out of your way to watch this, if you know what I mean. Still a good match. Nothing crazy. Nothing over the top. It was very safe, very standard, but still good. And the right man won. Scorpio Sky gets to win. A huge break for Scorpio Sky. Huge fucking break for Scorpio Sky. And it really does say a lot that out of everyone, not only did Sky win this, but the final shot, the final scene of Sky being the guy to push down Cody of all people, that just goes to show you how much trust that they have in Scorpio Sky and how much investment that they have in Scorpio Sky. This was a huge break for Scorpio Sky. The guy is a future TNT champion. The guy is absolutely a future world champion. The guy's got 15 years left in the business. He is young. He is youthful. He's got all the talent in the world. Big break for Scorpio Sky. Right outcome. And Scorpio Sky, he's going to get his shot against Darby Allin. I don't expect him to win. But, man, the match is going to be great. The match is absolutely going to be great. I don't expect him to win, but this was a huge break for Sky. And this is going to be yet another step in Scorpio Sky's career in showing all of us why he is absolutely a future pillar of this company. Just wait. Good match. Sky gets the win. Right outcome. Huge break for Sky. Justin Roberts announced that it was time to meet the man who will sign a contract with All Elite Wrestling. We had a countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the words "outwork everyone" came up on the screen, and it was Christian Cage, Captain Charisma, Christian Cage. He was wearing a shirt that said "outwork everyone." He signed the contract, and that was pretty much it. Listen. I love Christian. Christian is great. Christian is fantastic. Christian is an excellent worker. He's one of my favorites. Matter of fact, he should have gotten a longer world title reign back in 2011. But please. You are absolutely fucking fooling yourselves if you think that Christian's going to make a difference. He's not. Christian Cage is not a game changer. Not at his age, and certainly not in this type of era and in this type of jungle. I have no problem with Christian Cage signing with AEW. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with the way that they handled his debut and they handled his signing. The way that they hyped it up, they were making it out to be like it was going to be someone like a CM Punk or like it was going to be someone like a Brock Lesnar. If he would have just showed up, just plain and simple, showed up unannounced with no hints, no spoilers, and Paul White didn't even come out of the gates and say that, oh my God, someone's going to be debuting, a Hall of Fame caliber athlete's going to be debuting and he's going to outwork everyone at Revolution. If Paul White never said anything and there was no mention of a debut and he would have just showed up, I wouldn't have minded that. I wouldn't have minded that whatsoever. If they would have gone that route and they wouldn't have said a fucking word and they wouldn't have overhyped the shit out of it, only for them to bring out Christian Cage, if they would have done that and they would have just kept it a complete surprise, kind of like how WWE kept the Dudley Boys a surprise on the Raw after SummerSlam in 2015, if they would have kept Christian a surprise, this would have came off a hell of a lot better. But at the end of the day, you are absolutely fucking fooling yourselves if you think that Christian is going to have a long-term effect on AEW and if you think that Christian's actually going to be a game changer. Listen to me. He is not. This is why I am behind the camera. This is why I have the YouTube channel. This is why I am the analyst and you are not. You see, when I am talking, you listen. Okay? This is why I am the guy with the channel taking all of these notes, taking 10, 15, 20, 25 pages worth of notes, because I'm the one that knows what he's talking about. Your job is to sit there, shut your fucking mouth, while I educate you. Okay? How many people in AEW right now do we have that already provide that veteran presence and are there to help the younger generation on the roster? We have Taz, Jim Ross, Jake Roberts, Cody Rhodes, Paul White, Sting, and Chris Jericho. Some of those individuals are active competitors. What difference is Christian Cage going to make? What difference is Christian going to make if we already have those 7 individuals already providing a veteran presence and already offering guidance to the younger generation on AEW's roster? There's no difference. There is no fucking difference. Christian is going to benefit more from AEW than AEW will benefit from Christian. Christian's not going to move the needle. He's not going to generate any ratings. And again, we already have 7 individuals that I already just named before Christian that are already doing the job of being a backstage mentor for the younger generation. How many fucking people did Cody sign into the Nightmare family? How many fucking people are training under Cody? Fucking Taz's son is training under Cody. We got Lee Johnson, Aaron Solo, the Gun Club. Everyone's fucking training. QT Marshall. All these fucking people training under Cody. Sting's there as well to provide guidance for Darby Allin and get Darby Allin over. Jericho's putting everybody over. Taz is managing Will Hobbs and Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Jim Ross He's got a lot of backstage pull. You can imagine that he's going to provide a lot of guidance and mentorship for a lot of the younger generation on AEW. Why do we need Christian? I got no issue with Christian signing with AEW, but in no way, shape, or form should he be winning championships. You're telling me you're going to push Christian to the AEW World Championship over Omega, Page, Pac, Jungle Boy, Ricky Starks, Darby Allin, Luchasaurus? You're going to push Christian over all those individuals I just named. Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Lance Archer. You're going to push Christian over all those fucking individuals? If you are, you are in for a rude awakening, Mr. Tony Khan. I don't mind Christian. I'm sure he's going to have some great storylines. We're going to get some excellent fucking matches. I'm actually intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what they do with him. Don't get me wrong. I'm intrigued. But at the same point in time, you are absolutely fucking fooling yourself. You're a goddamn fucking idiot if you think that he should be in the world title picture. You're a goddamn fucking idiot if you think he's going to be a game changer. He's not going to have any long-term effect. With the way that they hyped it up, Punk or Lesnar would have had a better long-term effect. And if it wasn't going to be either of those individuals, you shouldn't have hyped it up at all. You should have just kept it silent. You handled his debut poorly. Poorly. You should have kept it silent. You should have kept it unknown. And that way it would have resonated better. Christian is going to be a very nice asset in terms of putting out great stories and putting out great matches. Yes. Yes. But you're fucking fooling yourselves if you think he should be going over fucking Kenny Omega and Darby Allin and winning the TNT and the AEW World Championship. He is there to put people over. At some point, you need to stop thinking about someone that is merely going to be there to put people over and start thinking about someone that's going to have a long-term effect in terms of the future of AEW. Either that or just work with the roster that you got. I don't mind Christian at all. I love Christian. But you are absolutely fucking fooling yourselves if you think he's going to be a game changer. He's not. I almost feel a little bad for him because he was hyped up as something that he's not. He's not a game changer. He's not going to move the needle. And he's not having a long-term effect on AEW. Get that out of your fucking head. We got 7 individuals already providing veteran presence on AEW's television and offering guidance to the younger generation. Taz, Sting, Cody, Jericho, Jim Ross, Jake Roberts, and Paul White. We don't need Christian Cage. The facts are facts. If you don't like it, tough shit. I'm sorry. Reality is reality. I just told you the truth. If you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. Just needed to get that out of there. Just needed to get that out of the way. Needed to get that out of my system. That's one of my major rants. Next match, we had Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. This was a street fight, and this was cinematic. This was cinematic, and the way that they produced this, the way that they shot this, and the final product, this was fucking excellent. This was fucking fantastic in every sense of the word. The entire layout of it all was picture perfect. So Cage and Starks, they drove up to this warehouse, the warehouse that Darby and Sting were in. They drove up to this warehouse in this beautiful fucking car. It almost looked like something you see at a GTA 5. It was fucking beautiful. This beautiful green car. They were getting set. They were wearing the Team Taz gear, dressed in black. They were ready for a fight. They went to this warehouse. And Sting and Darby, they were coming to the warehouse themselves. A ring was already set up. So Cage and Starks were waiting in the ring. Darby then came skateboarding down the city streets while Sting came driving in an old pickup truck. And this was a fucking beautiful sight right here. They were driving on separate streets and they met on the same street. Darby then hitched a ride on the pickup truck. It almost looked like some Avengers Assemble type shit. It was beautiful. So they made it to the warehouse with an army of hoodlums. So Sting came driving in his old pickup truck. They got to the warehouse. Brawl started immediately. The hoodlums surrounded the ring. We had Cage going after the hoodlums. So Sting started brawling with Starks, and Cage and Allen started brawling through the warehouse. Cage then tossed Darby Allin, military press style, through metal doors. Looked fucking nasty. Of course Darby Allin was going to take something like that. And that wasn't the only fucking crazy-ass thing that Darby Allin did. So Cage and Allin, they were brawling up the stairs. Sting then brought out his bat. He took it to Starks. He was continuing to beat down Ricky Starks, and then he went to find Cage and Darby Allin. Cage and Allin were brawling up the stairs. Cage actually vertical suplexed Darby Allin up the fucking stairs and held him in the vertical suplex and marched up the stairs. The fact that Cage is able to do that, fucking unbelievable. So he slammed Allin into a trash can. They made it onto the upper portion of the warehouse, almost to the roof. Starks then recovered. Sting and Darby neutralized Cage for the time being with a fire extinguisher, and then Darby smashed a glass bottle over Cage's head. We had a double choke slam through the table. Darby then climbed a pillar and then did a coffin drop off the pillar onto Ricky Starks. Then came in Hook and Hobbs. Hobbs was wearing an orange mask. So Hook and Hobbs then came in. Hobbs then sent Darby Allin into a glass window that was propped up on a wall, which looked nasty. So Cage then hit Sting with a shovel. It was 4-on-1. Darby then out of the fucking skies, he tossed Sting his bat from one window down to the lower floor. Sting caught it. He hit Hook with it, and then he hit Hobbs with it. So Hook and Hobbs were neutralized. Then we had Cage in the mix. Sting broke the bat over Cage, and then Cage was then dropped on the platform. Darby then jumped off of the deck, off of the upper deck, at least 30 to 50 feet down below, with an elbow drop to Cage, through the fucking platform. I don't know what the fuck they were going for. I'm not sure if that was actually Darby or not, but holy shit. Darby Allin, it's like he doesn't give a shit. He's gonna fucking die one of these days. I swear to God, Allin is really going to get hurt one of these days. But that was fucking crazy. Sting and Starks were then brawling in the ring. Starks hit a spear, Sting kicked out. Sting was then able to reverse a power slam into the Scorpion Death Drop, and Sting won the match for his team. This was fucking awesome. Excellently done. Brilliantly booked. Whoever produced this deserves a fucking pay raise. This may have been the best cinematic match since the Stadium Stampede. This was absolutely fucking excellent. Sting and Darby, Team Taz, excellent stuff. Awesome stuff. I expected Sting and Darby to win. That's it for the feud. No need to continue Team Taz versus Darby Allin and company. And now we can move on to bigger and better things. I do believe Darby's going to move on. As far as Sting, I do believe that Sting is going to go away for a little bit. I think that Sting should take a month-and-a-half break. Cody's directionless. I would not mind Cody coming out and saying, I don't know where I'm going to go next. And then all of a sudden, Sting comes out. And we see Sting interject himself into Cody Rhodes and his business, and we could be building towards Sting and Cody at Double or Nothing. But for now, I think it's best for Sting to go away for a month and a half, and then he can ignite a program and a storyline with Cody, and that will be Cody's last major program before he goes off and becomes a new father. And then we could possibly be looking at Sting and Darby at All Out after Darby Allin loses the TNT Championship to Pac, more likely than not. But this was an awesome street fight. I expect that to be the end of the Team Taz Darby Allin feud. Awesome stuff. Sting looked fantastic. Darby, Bryan, Starks, all looked fantastic. An excellent cinematic match. Definitely one of the best cinematic matches in the history of this pandemic. I'd probably rank this in the top 5 or the top 3. I'd probably go with the Boneyard match at number 1, then the Stadium Stampede, then this street fight. This was awesome. And then in the main event, we had Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. This was an exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. Omega and Moxley put on an excellent fucking main event. Absolutely will go down as one of the best matches of the year. These two individuals absolutely tore the house down, and the entire presentation, up until that ending, outside of that ending scene, the entire presentation and this match as a whole, from start to finish, from bell to bell, this match as a whole was fucking excellent. So, they started out trading strikes back and forth. They teased going into the barbed wire, and again, if you went into the barbed wire, it set off the explosives. There was one side of the ring that was not barbed wired, not with explosives. They were sent out to the stage over the ropes, over the side that was not draped in barbed wire and explosives. So Moxley, with the barbed wire bat, but Omega sent Moxley into one side of the ring, and the explosives went off. Moxley went back first. That looked brutal. Omega used the kendo stick against Moxley. We had a Katara Crusher on the trash can for a 2. Moxley was bleeding profusely, and that was as far as pretty much they went. It really was not as brutal as I thought it was going to be. It really wasn't that brutal. But he was bleeding profusely. That was brutal. Cut right here, I believe. A cut right above his hairline, I believe. So Omega, he was sent face first into the explosives twice, actually. He was all out of sorts. We had an exploder suplex into a barbed wire board to Omega. Moxley then with a sidewalk slam onto a barbed wire chair. Moxley caught some Snapdragon suplexes and a V-trigger. Moxley then with a huge lariat, the King Kong lariat. Moxley was then shoved into the ropes again. The explosives went off. They were out on the apron. They were trading strikes. Moxley then with a paradigm shift onto 1/3 of what they called the triple hell. The explosives went off. They went up into the air. Moxley then wrapped barbed wire around his hand. They got back into the ring. He hit Omega with his fist surrounded in barbed wire. We had a big pile driver, but Omega still kicked out. Omega then hit the one-wigged angel. Moxley did not kick out, though. He got his foot on the ropes. The explosives went off, and it actually blinded Omega. It blinded Omega. He didn't know where he was at. Omega then was on the receiving end of Moxley and his offense before the Good Brothers came out. So the Good Brothers came out. Moxley was trying to take them out. Omega with an exploding barbed wire bat. Moxley still kicked out of that. So he said, fuck this. The Good Brothers set up a chair. We had a one-wigged angel on the chair. And that was it. Moxley was beaten in the exploding barbed wire death match. Excellent match. I wish they would have ended it here. If they would have ended it here, would have been a lot better. If they would have ended it here, would have been a lot better. But the assault continued. The assault continued. They handcuffed Moxley's hand behind his back. The clock then started ticking down, and the commentators were saying the ring was going to explode, so they beat down Moxley with the barbed wire bat. The timer came down to 60, so Omega and the Good Brothers started to leave. Eddie Kingston then came out. Eddie Kingston came out of nowhere, and he covered Moxley as the explosives went off, and all we got were some weak sparklers from the posts, and the outside explosives just went up in the air. And that was that. It did not look like anything at all. Kingston was acting like he fucking died for real. That didn't look good at all. His selling did not fucking match what we saw. The doctors were trying to come out, checking on Kingston and Moxley. The cameras went off the air. I don't know what the fuck they were going for, but this was fucking horrendous. That ending was absolutely fucking terrible. They should have just ended it after Omega won. There was no need for this. Absolutely no need for this. There was no reason why you couldn't have had Kingston go off and attack Omega and the Good Brothers with the Butcher and the Blade on Wednesday. And that way we would have gotten an explanation as to why on Wednesday. But I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if it was a botch. I believe it was a botch. I do not think that this was supposed to happen at all. But Tony Khan, he was interviewed, and he said on the interview after the show, to paraphrase Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega can't build an exploding ring worth shit. Listen, I love Tony Khan, but just admit that you fucked up. We know that wasn't supposed to happen. We know that wrestling is kayfabe. We know when things are supposed to happen, and we know when things aren't supposed to happen. That was not supposed to happen. I know for a fact that that was not supposed to happen. If that was not supposed to happen, you should have just came out and said, yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen, I fucked up. Here's something I don't understand, before I get into what could possibly come out of this. I don't understand why, and it doesn't just have to do with pro wrestling, I don't understand why people nowadays can't just openly come out and admit when they fucked up. I don't understand why people nowadays, when it comes to anything, can't just openly come out and admit that, yeah, I was wrong. Things didn't go as they planned. I don't understand, why do people see it as a sign of weakness? Matter of fact, it's a sign of strength. You fucked up. You should have just came out and said that. It made Tony Khan look like a complete fucking idiot. So you're telling me that this was supposed to happen? So you're telling me that, oh, this was supposed to happen because Omega can't build an exploding ring worth of shit? No. You fucked up. This shit wasn't supposed to happen. The ring was supposed to explode. It didn't explode. What we got was not good. And Kingston, they're actually saying that Kingston fainted in anticipation because he didn't know what to expect. He fainted because of anxiety. It's even fucking worse. Just admit that you fucked up. I love AEW and I love what they're doing, but the fact that they had this ending, and what's even worse is that they didn't even admit that they fucked up, that don't fly. I'm sorry, that just don't fly. If you were going to do this, if you wanted to have Kingston come out, you should have had Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade come out, and Kingston should have attacked Moxley and the Good Brothers to close out the show. That way, we wouldn't have gotten all of this extra bullshit. And the ring did not need to explode. If we needed to have some sort of ending with Kingston, you should have just had Kingston come out and save Moxley from the assault. We didn't need the countdown and, oh my god, what is going to happen here, this anticipation. You fucked up. You should have admitted that you fucked up, but you didn't. Tony Khan looked like an idiot. Tony Khan looked like a complete idiot. Now, what happens with Kingston? Now, I originally had it in my mind that we could be looking at Okada and Omega, because I didn't really see anyone else lined up for Omega at Double or Nothing, because Page is being saved for All Out, and I was actually getting worried. I was getting worried that we were going to get Page and Omega one pay-per-view early. But now, looks like Kingston's going to be inserted into that, and I don't mind that. That I don't mind. It makes sense. The story's there. The promos are going to be incredible. But holy shit! Holy shit! They did not start this program, this potential program with with Kingston and Omega. They did not start this potential program off on the right foot. If you fucked up, and I know that you did, everyone knows that you fucked up. Everyone knows that that wasn't supposed to happen. Admit that you fucked up. Admit that it was a failure. Own up to your mistakes, and then move on. Look for a rebound on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure they'll rebound on Wednesday just fine. We got a very nice card for Wednesday, and we got some interesting scenarios going down on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure you'll rebound just fine. But they did not do themselves any favors. I'm not sure what this fucking was, but this was a fucking horrendous ending. Horrendously produced. Kingston's selling did not match the effects of that explosion. And Tony Khan made himself look like a complete fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Overall, solid show. But man, the disappointing moments really hampered the show down a bit. AEW needs to do a lot better. They need to learn what matches belong on the show, what matches don't belong on the show, and they need to learn not to overhype shit and not to overdo shit. I feel as though they try and do too much at once. Should have been 7 matches on the show. We didn't need the overhyped debut of Christian Cage. You should have just kept it a surprise, and we didn't need that ending. You fucked up. Tony Khan, you fucked up. You should have just owned up to it. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who stuck with me during this Tuesday night. We got a lot to talk about come Saturday. A lot of interesting material coming up. We got 2 collaborations coming up next week. We got Fastlane coming up next week as well. Things are busy for the brand. Business is booming. March is going to be great as per usual. Thank you very much for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Check out the Lightning Flash update. Check out my appearance on World of Wrestling on PWP Nation YouTube channel with Mr. Jay Leto. Lightning Flash update is, of course, on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll keep you up to date on what new news, rumors, and reports will be going down on Saturday's episode of the LFU. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind for AEW Revolution 2021. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I will catch you tomorrow live tweeting for AEW Dynamite.